we can call the meeting to order. It is our regular scheduled meeting for the Design Review Board being held on Monday, April 18th, 2022. The first thing we will do, of course, is roll call. I'm Stephen Antonio here. Elaine Lang.
Here.
Polly Rice.
Here.
Anka Dragulski.
Here.
Kate Beal.
Here.
And that's all of us and establishes a quorum. So without further ado, we're going to go to new business. Number 1, application 22-12 of SL Simsbury LLC, applicant Holden Sabato, agent, type 2 application pursuant to the Hartford Form-Based Code for the construction of a 2-story, 8,800 square foot multi-tenant commercial building on the property located at 1 Cooper Avenue, also known as the Ridge of Talcott Mountain, at 250 Hot Meadow Street. Who is here to present on behalf of the applicant, please?
Stephen, can I interrupt for a minute? I'd like to know who the other folks are that are town employees who are on the screen.
Well, there's Jackie Bottos at my bottom of the screen. You know her, right?
Yep.
Do you know Jackie?
Yep.
George McGregor, welcome.
Well, that's the thing. I know that sounds familiar, so I just wanted to say welcome and all that. And George, what is your title now?
I am the new Planning and Community Development Director.
Okay, great. Well, hope all goes well for you.
Thank you.
That was
Anyone else?
George, you're the new zoning officer, George?
The new Planning Director.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody else is here for an item on the agenda?
Well, Rob, you're here as a liaison, right, to EDC?
Correct.
For which commission?
EDC.
Economic Development Commission.
Okay, because I've seen you here before, but I didn't know why you were here, so that helps me just get the picture.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
All right, so getting back to new business, who's here to present on behalf of applicant regarding application 22-12, please?
Hugo, you want to step up or you want me to take it?
So, oh, I'm sorry. So, no, Jeff, I'd like you to take it and then defer any site questions to Rod, please.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
If I could share the screen, that'd be great.
Who controls the screen? I don't.
Laura does, actually. I think she's going to allow it, and here we go.
There we go. So since the last time we met, we went back. Our charge was to really show this building in a more commercial light. We had discussions internally with our client, and we were kind of directed to try and keep the footprint and the basic concept of a village shopping center intact, which we hope we did. What we did was we've added some plazas around the outside of the building to make it a lot more of a walkable, expandable site from a restaurant perspective or an outdoor use perspective, and really kind of reshape the landscaping a little bit around the building, so it became a more of a hardscape than a landscaped area. And we've developed I'm going to scroll through a little bit. We developed if I can here, second floor to more or less act as commercial space as well, but primarily it would be best suited for, say, office environment, not retail. Although, you know, we're not precluding retail. The idea would be that it would be commercial in use, as well as the lower floor. The lower floor more conducive to retail, obviously. The outside of the building, we've effectively added signage and some glazing on the lower level to create more of a storefront type environment down on the lower level. But we had full intent of keeping this very similar to the original proposal that was approved when this project was first approved, which was more of a pitched roof, a gable roof type of design, more of, as I said earlier, more of a village type atmosphere, where we would end up with multiple opportunities for entrances to divisible spaces within the building itself. And, you know, that we're not precluded from actually making further divisions in the areas that we're showing essentially windows versus storefront. It's really kind of designed as flex space depending upon the size of the tenant and the number of tenancies that we end up pursuing and getting, hopefully. And again, you'll see signage kind of wrapped around the building just as an example of what could be done to identify the spaces from your approach. Oh, excuse me. This is an aerial view looking at it from the boulevard side, coming around the right side of the building. And again, you'll see the plaza and the street lights and the streetscape. Rod will be able to talk about this a little bit more in depth after I get done with my presentation here. This is looking at it from the view of the development side opposite the main drag. And this is looking at it from the left-hand side as you're viewing it aerially off of the boulevard. And then again, just a kind of a streetscape kind of a view that we have going here. And, you know, we're obviously open to suggestions in terms of streetscape and landscaping. And the like. Obviously, they could have tables, chairs, and stuff out there as well. I got a weak connection here, so excuse me if you happen to lose the picture. This is the view of the building as it sits on the site. Comparatively, it's the same massing as the existing retail on the right-hand side that you see, and then across the boulevard, you'll see the building that we're proposing. And then again, you'll see it kind of bookends the boulevard either side here. And that's straight view kind of showing how it sits up against the mountain. The monument's there off to the right, and the street stanchion for the traffic light is there on your right. And that's my direct, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for taking our feedback to heart. It's nice to see so many issues addressed that we did mention at the last meeting. So we appreciate you working with us.
You're welcome.
Without further ado, I'd like to poll the commissioners, if you will, in no particular order. Anka, would you like to speak first?
Sure, I'm amazed. The architect, the graphic designer did wonders with this rendering. It's really substantially improved. It looks very nicely, you know, a nice, hopefully commercial building in every aspect. It has all the nice ingredients of a commercial building: signage, lights, benches, people. It's very nicely presented. And all I can say is that I hope the final building will look very much like the rendering. And having said that, I am satisfied with the improvements that the architects developers team made, and I would give a favorable recommendation.
Great, thank you, Anka. Kate, would you like to speak next by chance?
Sure, yeah. So love the plazas on either side. I think you captured the issues that we had with the last one. I hope, you know, for you guys that it looks like you've maintained the future flexibility that you were looking for, but I think that this really speaks to the type of tenants that you're trying to attract and what we would want in our community. So yeah, thumbs up, good job. And in a short turnaround time too.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kate. Polly?
I think everything's been said, and so yeah, nice job, and thank you so much for listening to our concerns.
Elaine?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a genuinely flexible design, and it definitely meets kind of some of our concerns that we expressed at previous meetings. So I would give it a favorable recommendation as well.
Great, thank you. Laura, if I can ask you just a manner of how to conduct, do we decide that I invite the public, if there are any, to comment, or do I refrain from that?
Technically, this is not a public hearing.
So, okay, perfect. That answers it. All right, with that being said, and having polled all the commissioners, I'd like to make a motion for a positive referral regarding application 22-12 of SL Simsbury LLC, applicant owner Holden Sabato, agent, type 2 application pursuant to the Hartford form-based code for the construction of a 2-story, 8,800 square foot multi-tenant commercial building on the property located at 1 Cooper Avenue, AKA the Ridge at Talcott Mountain, -250 Hot Meadow Street. Would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There's no one left for against or abstain, so it's unanimous. We have a positive referral, and thank you once again. It's a far cry from the white, I think it's okay to call it a barn that was initially proposed. We're very happy and appreciative of your working with us, and we think it's going to attract tenants more easily for you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Moving right along, application 22-14 of Wolf Restaurant LLC, applicant owner, Artifacts agent, application for a sign permit pursuant to section 9.2 of the zoning regulations for the construction of a plus or minus 38 square foot wash lit illuminated sign with push-through letters for the property located at 4 Hartford Road, of which most of us locally would know better as Abigail's Restaurant. Is someone here to present on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, hello. My name is Lauren Rosen, and I own Artifacts. I was told about a minute ago that I would be presenting, so let's see how I do off the cuff.
Well, we did get a packet, so it's not like we're coming in blind.
Yeah.
We've all been to Abigail's, so.
You know where it is.
I do, but one of my initial questions is going to be right off. I don't believe this sign is internally illuminated at this juncture, is it?
It isn't, and I know that we put it up many years ago for a sign company. Or I'm sorry, we put it up when it was Pettibones for a sign company out of California. Other than that, I'm not sure of the history, but I know there's external illumination in the form of, it's got 2 kind of industrial spotlights on each side.
Correct.
For the existing sign.
However, the sign you're proposing is internally illuminated, if I'm not mistaken, as well as a wash light, which is nice, coming down over the face over grill and wine bar. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yes, and I'd like to say a few things. You know, we're running about 140 jobs. So for me to hone in on this one job, I'm kind of having to recollect. But what I would say is this. I see that it's been presented with 37.69 square feet. And I think they've been very fair here at my office. If you look at the, and I'm going to do a share screen, right?
Can we?
Sure.
Can you see what's on my screen?
Hit share screen.
Not yet, but it's clocking. Laura, is it coming or? There it is.
Okay. So if you take a look at the configuration, the portion that says Abigail's, the ribbon, it extends beyond a rectangular main shape. The main shape is 22 square feet, and the 2 projections beyond are 1.56 square feet per. So initially, the way we figured the square footage, we figured it at 25.145 square feet. If you were to take a view of this, of actual sign area, and I know the rule of thumb is to draw a perimeter around the entire shape, I was hoping that you'd look at it as a rectangle with two wings and see it the same way that I do. That's the portion that occupies space. So I just wanted to bring that point up. As far as the illumination, I think we want to get rid of the spotlight thing. I have a photo of the existing sign, which I'll show you in just a bit. And what happens with the spotlights, a lot of times they get, either they're not taken care of, the lights aren't changed, they're in harm's way. If you saw what's up there now, it's kind of cantankerous in the sense that one's twisted around, one's falling down. And I know it points to a lack of maintenance, but we're trying to provide a sign that has absolutely no maintenance. And in the way we're using the light, it is internally illuminated, but the lighting is kind of a contemplated controlled lighting. And I want to explain how it works. So with the word Abigail's, this is called a push-through letter. The background ribbon is made out of 0.125 aluminum. That's aluminum plate. You could relate to that. It's an 1/8 inch thick. And we cut through the aluminum. We have LEDs inside, which in this case, we could alter the Kelvin. Anything from 3,000 to 5,000 is usually the pocket we use. So what happens, we have dimensional letters that are pushed through, and those letters are made of clear acrylic. The portion in front that's black is an opaquing film on the front that's laminated to the clear acrylic that's pushed through. So what you would get is a halo effect around each letter. So it's called indirect illumination, and it resembles a halo letter. In the bottom of the ribbon, the same light source, the LEDs, would wash down via a lens that we would cut into the bottom of the ribbon, which projects proud of the rectangular background. So you're looking at a wash light that comes from the top down. The letters grill and wine bar, along with the plaque or placard that says Tavern, established 1780, are all dimensional 1/2 inch letters with a 1/2 inch standoff. They stand away from the sign, and the lighting that washes down illuminates the background and the letters. The shadowing is minimalized by the standoff. Most recently, I designed a sign system. I'm trying to think of what I've done in your town, but we just finished the Ethel Walker School. Very similar lighting technique with the wash. If you look at on 1 or 2 of the signs, the address has this same type of lighting that we feature with Abigail's, except that's translucent and this is opaque. The existing sign, and hang on just 1 minute because it was just emailed to me. I'm going to call it up. I'll share my screen. Can you see this?
Now you have to hit share.
Oh, I have to share this again. I'm not the computer
Up top,
maven.
I think where it says the green part.
Okay. New share. Can you see that?
Not yet. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so what happens with this sign, if you look at it from a square footage point of view, what's exposed signage is identical in square footage to what we're proposing. However, our shapes, because again of the ribbon projecting, it kind of, it gets a little bit of a black eye in terms of square footage. But an actual sign area that you see, what's visibly exposed, is actually about 1/2 foot smaller than Abigail's. And I think if you look at the two signs, We were trying to design a sign that was a lot more sophisticated, that was a lot more controlled, less frivolous, less goofy, the colors toned down, more Simsbury-like. If you drive by this sign, when it's finished, you'll say, that's a nice looking sign, whether you see it during the day or at night. It's a classy sign. And a lot of contemplation went into this design, so we would call it that way. And I invite you to ask any questions if you have them. But as far as general construction, beyond what I mentioned, the entire sign is made of aluminum plate. All the finishes are low luster epoxy, basically automotive paint with a flattening agent. The upright posts are PVC over aluminum that's sanded and sprayed with the same low luster paint. So in effect, when you look at the sign, it's going to look like a wooden sign. No one would know the difference, except with this particular sign, there's no degradation over time. So what you see now is what you'll see in 10 years. The southern exposure starts to fade after 8, 9, 10 years. Otherwise, it should look like it does in this drawing for a long time. What's currently there, although it conforms to zoning, I guess, with the external lighting, and it's not to be subjective, but I don't know if I'd like seeing that every day, even though I live up the hill from it and drive by it all the time. I've kind of blanked it out of my mind. But that's what we have, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So illuminated signs are not legal in the town of Simsbury without a variance of some form.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's egregious in as much as you're asking for a bigger sign that's internally illuminated. I just, right off the bat, it just seems like we're trying to have a billboard, and we try to maintain a quaint town. That's why we, hold back on internal illumination in any form. So I'm sort of taken off guard with this application, and as much as it does not appear you tried to adhere to our community standards in any manner. Let's poll the commissioners to see what other people's interpretation of this proposal are. We'll just go in the same order I did last time. Anka, would you like to respond first, or give us some insight or questions you might have?
I was afraid you'll ask me first.
Okay. We can skip if you want.
Okay. I mean, definitely, I'm not an expert in signage. I do trust your expertise. Personally, I also like very much the existing sign. I know it's getting old, but it does have some charm and character. I understand that it needs to be replaced for whatever reason. I don't know, it's too old, it's falling apart, etc., etc. Again, I'm not an expert in signage. I personally don't understand why the sign that's proposed, it's more Simsbury-like. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Apparently it confirms, it's a confirming sign in terms of the size and square footage and everything with town requirements. Other than that, honestly, I'm not very thrilled with that banner where it says Abigail's. And those two posts, left and right, they look a bit neoclassic to me, and the lintel on top. But again, these are minor details, and I would defer comments on it to other members of our board.
Okay, so we don't go in order. Let's do Elaine next. Can we have your input, please?
Okay.
Should I respond to everyone afterward?
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
let the commissioners speak.
Yeah, I was actually surprised because the first thought I had was, ooh, maybe we should refer them to go look at the Ethel Walker sign. And then you said you did that sign. So I will tell you to look at your own work. I mean, off the top of my head, I think the font you have Abigail's in is very modern looking, which maybe it's going for a little crisper look. I think the font for Grill and Wine Bar is fine, but I think, you know, when you're dealing with a historic site, something a little more thoughtfully respectful of the historical nature of the building, I would, off the top of my head, easy fix, I'd like to see that banner smaller and maybe the lighting in that upper, you know, the top bar there with where the lintel is across, and just downlight it instead of having this internally illuminated look that feels very kind of out of step with the area, that area in particular. We've got the fountain, we've got a number of colonial Revolutionary War era homes around there. It just feels very kind of jarringly modern to have that internal illumination and that, you know, kind of Helvetica-esque font to me. And I do think there is room to shrink that banner a bit.
Thank you. Polly?
I agree with Elaine on a lot of that. My biggest concern is the backlit aspect. It doesn't flow with the era of the building. I like the substantial lettering. Again, I agree with Elaine with the Abigail's font being not as appropriate. If you use the same all through it, that I think is more appropriate. But my biggest concern is the backlit aspect of the sign. Thank you.
All right, and Kate?
Well, first off, I think your rendering is really nice. Like when I looked at it, I understood what the sign was doing just from looking at it. So just kudos to that. I think it's very clear. I don't know that I have a major issue with acrylic with light coming out behind it, but if that's our, you know, our policy, I don't know, Steve, like, is that back, it's illuminated from behind, but it's not a light up sign.
So
but
halo is permitted. Internally illuminated is not.
So
That's
you
per
can
our
have,
reg. So I mean, anything's possible with the variance or grandfathering, of course, but as far as the regulations, it flat out says no.
but isn't this halo? It's not lit with individual lights. Like the letters don't light up. They just have acrylic behind them that catches light that's back there.
Oh, Laura, can you speak on behalf of that?
According to our zoning regulations, we're not allowed to have light pass through the face of the sign. It can either be backlit, downwashed, or externally illuminated, or halo lit.
Okay. So then it definitely would not apply. It can't come through. So, but I do really like I kind of like that behind the Abigail's banner, it's like washed down onto the rest of the sign. I think that's a nice feature. So yeah, you just need to adjust, in my opinion, the Abigail's banner.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, I don't have your name handy. I apologize, but would you like to respond or ask?
Oh,
any further
absolutely.
details?
Yeah, and my name is Lauren Rosen.
Thank you. I apologize for not knowing that.
That's all right. So let me address the lighting first. First off, you don't see the light itself, and there's a provision in your let's see, sign design standards that says signs may be externally lighted or backlit but shall be designed so as not to allow any light to project through the face of the sign, nor shall the lights themselves make up the lettering. So you get into an area where, are we seeing the light? Well, we see what happens because of the light. It shines into an acrylic lens that spreads the light away from the letter. Now, I can tell you this, if it costs me another $4,000 or $5,000 to put halo letters in place of what looks exactly like halo letters, I would do it just to get this sign through. But it's a technicality that I can tell you these look about identical. I'm happy to build the letters any way that you see fit. As far as the rest of the lighting, it's wash lighting. I also designed, and unfortunately, I don't have a photo of any of these, but I did the first church that's across the street. Has a little more copy than I like. Try to sell them on simplicity. And I think, though, we ended up with a sign that's a lot more tasteful in quite a few ways. But that also has lighting inside, but it's wash lighting. Same principle as Ethel Walker. So most of this sign is done in the manner of Ethel Walker. It's just the Abigail's that has, really, it's a halo light. Somebody just jotted me a note where the faces are opaque. As far as type styles are concerned, and I know everybody has a preference, but if you really study type styles, let's say from the mid to late 1700s, there were a lot of Roman type styles with spurs, but there are also a lot of sans serif type styles. This is a condensed font that's more based on the Universe/Franklin family. Helvetica was developed during the 1940s and 50s. This is really kind of a traditional font because it's a sans serif font. It may seem modern, and it is kind of modern, but it's also traditional. We wanted a real neutral font that was easy to read. And I think too much of one font is too much of a good thing. I think that one font has to stand in front of the other fonts. So it's kind of a mix and match situation where Grill and Wine Bar Tavern, that's all in a Roman font with a spur. The established 1780 and Abigail's, it's a sans serif font. Again, as far as square footage, it's a technicality. This sign, actual sign area, is smaller than what exists today. As far as
That's simply not true. I'm going to call you out on some of this stuff, Lauren.
go
It's
ahead.
not smaller. It's the same size at best, if not larger. If you take it as the square computation, which we normally would, it comes out to 39 square feet. Granted, there's a lot of empty space there, and I'll grant you that, but I'm not going to sit here and let you go on like you're teaching us. We approved your sign at First Church. We approved your sign at Ethel Walker. We are very familiar with them. You're acting like we don't know anything about any of this stuff. I invite you to serve on a public board, such as the Design and Review Board, but we are trying to give you work in the hopes that you will work with us. If you just want to educate us, please set up a workshop, and if we want to attend, we will. We're leaning towards a negative referral, and I'll be honest, I have heard nothing to change it. We're trying to tell you, it's not even the Abigail's logo on this side. It looks more like Heinz ketchup, no offense. The Abigail's has that cursive logo, which is fine if they're doing a full logo transfer. But I'm not going to sit here and just be droned on about the history of the Helvetica type font. I'm so sorry, but I run an expeditious meeting. I feel we've given you fair input. We don't want justification. We just want to know if you're willing to move forward with us, how we can do so. And if it was something as simple as saying, put a halo letter there, we would say that. You have proposed something that is not even allowed by our own community guidelines and standards, and you're acting like it's no big deal. Unfortunately, we abide by those guidelines and standards. So we are where we are. I'm sorry to say I'm going to have to table this pending further compliance. Is that okay, Laura? Laura, you don't want to speak?
Sorry, I had to take myself off mute. You can either ask the applicant to resubmit if they want to go forward at the next meeting, or you could, if they want to not resubmit, go forward with any kind of referral from this evening in this presentation.
Okay, with that being said, Lauren, how would you like to proceed? Would you like to resubmit at our next meeting in 2 weeks? Or would you like to go forward with a negative referral from the design review board?
In my experience, I don't think, and first I want to say that, listen, I'm not trying to educate anyone. It's just what I do for a living. I'm trying to defend myself. It's human nature. And I don't want to say any more than that. I wasn't trying to be affrontive or mean or upper-handed. It's just me. And I'm trying to tell you what I think about the sign. Little bit of an explanation. I think I'm entitled to without a lecture.
Likewise.
Now, I would tell you this, to go in front of anyone after your committee gives me a negative review, it's suicide. So it's not a good decision. So now I have to look at it and say, how do I redesign it to address some of your comments? So I would ask you this, because it's our job to get a sign for our client and to try to get them a nice sign that you appreciate as well. That's why we're here. If we were to say, make the ribbon smaller, if we were to use halo lettering as opposed to stencil cut lettering, if we were to change the type style, if we were to reduce the size of the ribbon a bit, do you think these are some of the points that would appeal to you in the next meeting?
Most certainly.
Yes.
I'm proud of our record of how many people we work for it. And honestly, I never remember anyone getting a flat out no from us. Yes, it's a finessing of both you and honestly us, but we have the community as our best interest and the cohesiveness of the Weetog neighborhood. So, I mean, there's no sign like this near this sign. And as Elaine kindly pointed out, there's some landmarks right there, such as the White Fountain, that I think if you do the things that really, honestly, I have to give you credit. You caught everything we said for constructive criticism. And if you could embrace that and resubmit, I would imagine we would have a positive referral. I can't guarantee that, of course. It's up to all the commissioners, not just myself.
Well, I mean, it's my job really to make everyone happy. And that definitely includes you folks. And that's our intent, without question. We've done a lot of signs in Simsbury. I live right up the mountain, and I'm sensitive to the area, the architecture. It's a beautiful town. When I go out to eat, I go to Simsbury. I conduct my business in Simsbury, and I appreciate what you've done for the town. And I say that earnestly. I remember years ago, and I won't go on too long, I brought a design to your committee. This goes back about 30 years, and it was for Fleet Bank. I wasn't crazy about our design, and I was sitting in front of you kind of half-heartedly. I couldn't defend it. And there was a committee member, and he said, you know, I'm trying to think of a word that describes your sign. And the only word that comes to mind is futzy. And when I heard it, it was like getting a shot through the heart. And I walked out and I said, he's right, it's futzy. It made a big impression on me about 30 years ago. So we changed it. We came back with a nice sign that everybody liked. And it sat there for years and years. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your critique. And we'll try to work with what you said.
We appreciate that, and we look forward to working with you again in the future. 14
Yeah.
days, is give or take away, so by all
And
means.
if I sounded like I was lecturing, I really apologize.
It's no worries. We're all volunteers, and I run an expeditious meeting. No offense taken. We'll look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. With that being said, I'd like to move forward to the approval of minutes from the April 4th, 2022 meeting. Has anyone had the opportunity to read them, and if such, have any input on them?
Mr. Chairman, it's George McGregor. Those minutes were not included in your packet and they're not available yet. Sorry.
Oh, good. I was going to abstain. Now I feel like I'm fine.
We'll have them ready for your next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
General Commission business. Obviously, George has witnessed my first outburst as a chair in either of the committees I serve on. I apologize also to my fellow commissioners.
No, Steve, please don't apologize. You did great.
That was appropriate. Thank
I
you.
am so grateful
Yeah.
you did this because sometimes I don't know how much I can say and I try to refrain myself. But you did great. I appreciate every single word you said, and the similarity with the Heinz ketchup. Oh my God! Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
I
very
didn't
much.
want to say it, but it
was
is
true.
the Heinz label if you put the ribbon on it.
Yeah, you may.
So, well, I appreciate your support. Like I said, I don't enjoy acting that way, especially in the public purview of all places. And on George's first meeting, so great impression. Really glad to set that cornerstone. But to get back to what we're doing, we're welcoming George. He's our new and hopefully very long-term town planner. He's down at Town Hall, I imagine Monday through Friday, if we all want to stop by and say hi and, just welcome him to our town. We're a tight-knit, small town, big enough, too big to be small and too small to be big. So we've all chosen this as our home. We're all long-term residents, and welcome, George. We hope you enjoy your time here.
Thanks. I look forward to working with everybody.
All right. Is there anything else for General Commission business before we close the book on this meeting?
Nope.
Would that
Motion
be-
adjourned.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe. The discussion on whether or not you want to move forward in person or remotely.
We're the way we left it, but I will reiterate it, and
Mhm.
everyone is also welcome to bring in their own input and vocalize it, is we are going to remain remote until such time as a project is presented that we can gain more traction by actually touching, feeling, and seeing samples.
I would like to interject that
Yeah.
I'm ready to go, not remote 100%, but that's Polly Rice. So
Great, have fun.
putting that out there.
I think with our quorum issues, it's best that we continue making it as easy as possible to get the maximum number of people in attendance. So that would be my kind of.
Yeah, the reason I say that is I feel that there would be better discussions all in person than on screens. That's just how I view it.
I appreciate that, and I'm not saying we won't go in person. It's coming probably soon, but it does enable us to hit the quorum more times than not. We have, people coming home from a commute and such, and it's just at this point we have had a quorum every time doing the meetings remotely, whereas when we're in person, there's nothing more frustrating than driving down to Town Hall only to sit there and talk for a few minutes and then drive home from Town Hall. On the same vein, though, I would like to acknowledge that I'm not sure she was even ever officially approved by zoning. I believe she was, but our new commissioner, Kamala. I'm probably misenunciating her name and I apologize for that, but she has resigned before her first meeting was supposed to be tonight.
Steve, what I was saying in the text earlier is I'm not sure if she went to the town clerk and got sworn in. I do know.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if she never got sworn in, I'm not sure that she needs to resign. I'm not
I
sure.
believe she was sworn in. I did double check before the last meeting, so I think officially she does have to resign.
Okay. We'll have,
With
Eric,
that being said, we have no cushion. Well, actually, we have a small cushion. 4 of us is a quorum, and we have 5. And I appreciate everyone showing up to every meeting, as well as Rob and Jackie, who are our liaisons, and Laura, whose job it is. But that being said, we could really use a commission, an additional commissioner, especially as we approach the vacationing time of the summer. If anyone knows of somebody, we'd have to run it through the Democratic Town Committee because it is their serve for commissioners. That's still true, Elaine? Because they
yeah, we have 1 full seat and 1 alternate, and I'm not sure if we have any R seats empty currently.
No, because I can see 3 R's from here.
Okay.
So
Well-
if anyone knows a Democrat that would like to
Don't
serve
we
on
don't we
our
have
board,
2, don't they have an alternate seat open?
the R,
Well, technically, I don't believe they didn't appoint James Pennington, I don't believe.
That he was
that was Democrat.
So I think
We
he's
did
a,
not appoint him.
What
because
about an unaffiliated? Could we take an unaffiliated?
you've
he
got-
wasn't unaffiliated.
He switched to unaffiliated. You need, if there's an R vacancy, you can take it up with Paul and Kate. Kate can work her magic and see if
Okay.
she can convince Kevin to put a U on.
Or no, because you guys have the seat, is what we're saying, Elaine.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
3
it's the
R's.
Democrats that have the
Yeah.
power.
So would you
Not the
guys take an
power, but-
unaffiliated was the question.
Great. So there's only 1 alternate seat for the whole commission?
Is it a 6-seat board or a 5-seat board?
I thought there were 2 alternates, not just 1.
I believe there are 2 alternates. I'm sorry.
Because Steve and I are 2 of our 3 full members, and we're looking for that one. And then we also have the alternate. But if none of you guys is an alternate, I think there's a R vacancy for an alternate.
Either way, whoever can find.
But you're looking for a body
that
for, but
has
you're
some
looking for,
background.
you're looking for
I
a
am no longer-
body,
I am
right?
no longer nominations chair, so it's not my problem, except that it would be nice for us to get a quorum. So I will,
Yeah.
and I think Eric had some ideas, so hopefully he will be able to dig someone up where I could not.
Well, with that parting thought, is there anything else that anyone else would like to bring up during general commission business?